Absolutely. We're getting some breaking updates also coming in. One of RCB's winning players, Krunal Pandya, has finally posted on social media on the tragedy that occurred yesterday, saying that yesterday was meant to share our joy with you and it has turned into a heartbreaking tragedy. Sending out my condolences. One of the key players as far as performances are concerned for the RCB team in the final, also one of the bigger names that the side has. But it has taken quite a bit of time, almost a day, for players to actually send out their condolences. And actually, Harish, this hasn't gone unnoticed. RCB's first statement came hours after the tragedy unfolded. They did barely anything while it was unfolding. They're making excuses about the fact that their program went on because they didn't know what was happening outside, which I find hard to believe. They're also saying they amended their program, which doesn't seem to be the truth. The program went at least for an hour, if not more. We've got players, just coming out and saying, cursory condolences now. So that does this suffice? I mean, there should have been a proper, a better response. Not that they're responsible for what happened, but they could have reacted in a better way.
Certainly, CM Siddaramaiah, while holding a press conference barely hours after the incident, immediately started to draw parallels with the Kumbh Mela, which is, while yes, we do understand that, when you see such massive footfall, there is bound to be some sort of skirmish, or there is bound to be some kind of damage, there is bound to be some kind of casualties. But the fact of the matter is, immediately, barely hours after the press conference, draw parallels with the Kumbh Mela is definitely questionable. The government must introspect and see what it could have done better in the first place. And placing the blame on the people, that is something that CM Siddaramaiah did too. He said that the people were uncontrollable, people were unruly after a point. It's not exactly right. Yes, there was mass hysteria. It was just beyond your regular euphoria. But where exactly was the government? What exactly was the government doing then? Why exactly were people in the first place allowed to gather in huge numbers outside the Vidhana Soudha? Why exactly were so many people allowed to gather outside the Chinnaswamy in the first place? Why wasn't there clear communication about how this was going to be a pass system and only pass holders were going to be able to avail this? There were rumors floating around happily that this was actually going to be a free entry, and that is why fans gathered in massive numbers outside the Chinnaswamy Stadium. And also the optics of how Deputy CM DK Shivkumar, when it was pretty out in the open that a stampede has taken place, still goes on to attend the program at the Chinnaswamy Stadium for a few minutes, poses for photos. So this clearly sends a very wrong message about where the government stood and why there was no immediate preparedness, immediate action. Shouldn't the program have been cut short for good? What does Deputy CM DK Shivkumar mean that he just asked the RCB management to cut the program for a few seconds or cut the program and leave it after very a few minutes? What kind of message does that send? The program should have been stopped for good, given that a lot more preparation had to go. You have to at least ensure that the rest of the people who are coming out go out in a smooth manner. Immediately the police should have gone behind the victims' family members, tried to reach out to them, see that the condition of patients was good. You still saw security being deployed outside the Chinnaswamy Stadium for the remainder of the short program that took place for the RCB players. Was that necessary at all? Instead, the police could have very well continued their efforts to see that all the victims reach the hospitals as soon as possible. Perhaps a life or two could have been saved in the process. So lot of questions remain unanswered, but the government's response definitely leaves a lot to be left, given that the BJP too is especially harping on the fact that Deputy CM DK Shivkumar just posed with the RCB players for photographs when it was pretty out in the open that a stampede had taken place. This is just the tip of the iceberg here. The lot of questions that the government has to answer about the preparedness that was there in place, especially when we also have come to know that on June 3rd itself, there were plans to hold an event for RCB. If that was the case, why wasn't there better planning? Why did the government choose two venues? Why was everything done in a literally in that span of the moment? RCB tweets in the morning that there is going to be a big victory parade. The government says no, there is not going to be any parade, but RCB goes on to tweet yet again. So there seems to be a huge communication gap, which goes to show that the government clearly wasn't ready for what was going to happen post
and
the rally.
They rushed the whole thing because the players were not going to be available for too long. So this was possibly the only occasion to get all of them together. But Is that enough? Is that reason good enough to rush the entire event when lives are at stake? 11 lives have been lost. Several of them are still injured and in hospital. This deadly stampede outside Chinnaswamy Stadium has left families shattered. Most of the victims are extremely young. Families of the victims are distraught, struggling to comprehend how this heartbreak. And mother of Tumkur victim of stampede broke down, remembering her only son, saying that compensation now is of no use.
ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ ಹುಡುಗರು ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತಿರ್ಗ ವಾಪಸ್ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಣ್ಣ ಅವ್ರ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗವ್ರೆ ನನ್ ಮಗ ಹೋದ್ನಲ್ಲ ನನ್ ಮಗಂಗ್ ಬಂತಾರಪ್ಪ ಕಾಪಾಡ್ಲಿಲ್ವಲ್ಲ ಅಯ್ಯ ದುಡ್ಡು ತಣ್ಣ ನಾನೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳಕ್ ನನ್ ಮಗನ್ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಬತ್ತಾರಣ್ಣ ನನ್ ಮಗನ್ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಬರ್ಲಣ್ಣ ನನ್ ಮಗನ್ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಬಂದ್ ಕೊಡ್ಲಿ ನನ್ಗೆ ನನ್ ಮಗ ಬಂದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕ್ ನನ್ಗೆ ನನ್ ಮಗ ಬೇಕು ನನ್ಗೆ ನನ್ ಮಗ ಬೇಕು.
ನಾವು 1 ಅವರ್ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅವನು ಇರ್ತಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಒಬ್ಬ ಮಗನ್ ಸಾಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. 22 ವರ್ಷ ಅವನಿಗೆ ತುತ್ತು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೆ ಸಾಕಿ. ಇವತ್ತು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಒಂದು ಧೋರಣೆಯಿಂದ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬೀದಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಹೆಣ ಆಗಕ್ಕೆ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟೆ. ನನಗೆ ಕೇಳ್ದೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ದೆ, ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಇವಾಗನೇ ನನಗೊಂಚೂರು ಮಾಡಿ ಕಳಿಸ್ಕೊಡಿ. ಆಗೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೆ. ಬರೋದು ಹೋಗೋದು ನಿಮಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಕೋಟಿ ಜನಗಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ನನಗಾಗಲ್ಲ. ನನಗೆ
ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಪಕ್ಕಕ್ಕೆ ರಾಜಪ್ಪ, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹಿಂದಕ್ಕೆ.
Sir, I need to ask you, what is the situation of the injured here? The people who have passed away, their bodies have been handed over to their families as well. But what is the situation of the youngsters
all the patients, youngsters, they are in our wards, or they are out of danger. All other, even that young boy, Bilal, aged about 4 years, he is also happy. He is also taking treatment, no problem. Other 2 patients having fractures of the both legs. So we are doing surgery. After some time, he will become all.
What are the kind of injuries that they face? Upper torso, lower torso, have they?
No, legs, both bones leg.
Okay.
So both bones leg we call tibia and fibula.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. How serious? How many of them are grievous, or how many of them actually are they all out of danger right now?
So whoever had fractured bones, that's are said to be grievous
But
injuries.
there are some who have also head injuries as well.
The small head injuries, if they are conscious, they are responding to oral commands, I don't think they are grievous.
How many children were brought in here? Because a lot of children also were part of the stampede there, we were told.
About 10 years, ma.